Forget chasing the unrealistic muscle goals plastered on all those flashy charts you see around. It's time to set the record straight. Let's focus on something grounded, something that actually makes sense. I've crafted a guide that lays it all out. No fluff, no exaggeration, just the truth about natural muscle growth. And trust me, it's a whole lot more accurate than anything else you've come across. Why? Because it's rooted in reality. Now, here's the deal. We're talking about what you can genuinely expect to gain as a natural. This isn't for those who are enhanced. That's a whole different ballgame. Whether you're a man or a woman, blessed with amazing genetics or working with a more challenging set, this applies to you. Everyone deserves a clear, honest understanding of what's achievable without all the misleading nonsense floating around online. The internet is a minefield of misinformation, and let's be honest, most people are completely lost when it comes to setting realistic expectations. That's why I've put together something simple yet effective. It's a chart, a straightforward visual that breaks it all down step by step. No guesswork, no over-complications. This is your blueprint to knowing exactly what's normal and what you can aim for in your journey. Let's get into it and take this one step at a time. It's easier than you think. Year 1. It's your big debut in the muscle building game. This is when the magic happens, especially if you're new to lifting and haven't pushed your muscles anywhere close to their genetic limits. If you're blessed with stellar genetics, you can expect to pack on 8 to 12 pounds of pure muscle in this first year. That's right, a whole lot of growth, because your body is primed for it. 12 pounds? That's top-tier territory. Think exceptional genetics. Most people won't hit that, but it's the gold standard for those who are truly gifted. Now, let's talk about what happens if you're not in the genetic jackpot. If you're female or a male with below-average genetics, your gains in that first year will likely fall in the range of 4 to 6 pounds. Why less for women? It's simple biology. Women generally have less testosterone and are smaller in size on average. That doesn't mean a woman can't gain more muscle than some men, but on average, the numbers speak for themselves. And yes, outliers exist. People who defy the odds with gains far beyond what's typical. But let's be real, for 99% of you, these ranges apply. Sure, you might gain an extra pound here or there, outside this chart's guidelines, but these expectations are realistic for most. So, as you dive into your first year, remember, progress will look different for everyone, but this is the foundation to build from. Let's keep the momentum going. By year 2, the game starts to change. The rapid-fire gains from your first year slow down a bit, but there's still solid progress to be made. If you're in the gifted category, you're looking at 6 to 8 pounds of muscle growth this year. That's still noticeable. Every few months, you'll catch a glimpse in the mirror and think, okay, I'm definitely seeing some changes. But don't expect transformations overnight. Weekly progress photos? Not gonna show much. Muscle growth is a slow burn, and it's the long-term consistency that pays off. For women and men with less favorable genetics, the growth slows even further, 3 to 4 pounds in the second year. The general rule of thumb here is simple. Expect about half the gains of those with stellar genetics. It keeps things easy to remember and sets realistic expectations for where you should be. By year 3, things start to taper even more. For the genetically gifted, you're looking at 4 to 6 pounds of muscle gained, around 5 pounds on average. And believe me, 5 pounds in a year is no joke. If you're pulling in that much, your genetics aren't bad. They're fantastic. People underestimate how challenging it is to pack on quality muscle after the initial newbie phase. For women and below-average men, the third year usually brings 2 to 3 pounds of muscle growth. By year 4, the gains continue to slow. For most men, 3 to 5 pounds is a realistic expectation, with 3 pounds being above average at this point. Muscle building is a marathon, not a sprint, and these numbers reflect that slowing pace. But remember, every pound you add now is a testament to your commitment and consistency. Keep at it. It's all part of the process. For women and men with lower genetic potential, reality hits hard. About 2 pounds of muscle gain in an entire year. That's 1 pound every 6 months. So let's cut the fantasy here. You're not going to see half a pound of muscle popping up every month. It just doesn't work that way. If anything, take whatever grand expectation you've set for yourself, slash it in half, and then realize that even hitting that might be a stretch. The real issue: unrealistic comparisons. People look at those dramatic transformations, the ones where a movie star packs on 14 pounds of muscle in 3 months to play some superhero, and think they can do the same. But here's the truth. Those actors are often on highly controlled, enhanced programs. Training hours a day and eating chicken breast and rice isn't magic. It's part of a cocktail that most people don't talk about. If you're natural, those numbers are pure fantasy. By year 5, gains dwindle even more. Advanced guys? Maybe 2 to 4 pounds in a year. Women and men with less favorable genetics? 1 pound. That's it. So if you've been grinding for 5 years, you're not adding a pound a month, you're adding 1 a year. And that's not a bad thing. It's just how the body works. Building muscle naturally is a slow game, and it takes years to create something impressive. From year 6 onward, even for the genetically gifted, you're looking at maybe 2 to 3 pounds of muscle per year. If someone claims they're still packing on 5+ pounds yearly at this point, odds are they're either not natural or misunderstanding what's happening. Gaining fat and water weight isn't the same as building muscle. And when that weight comes off during a diet, surprise, it wasn't muscle to begin with. Here's a phrase to remember. You're not flat. You were fat. If you've been dieting down and feel smaller, it's likely because the fluff is gone, revealing the true size of the muscle underneath. What's left might not be as big as you thought, but it's real. And real steady progress? That's the goal. So forget the excuses and the exaggerated expectations. This is about patience, consistency, and celebrating the long-term gains that really matter. Here's the harsh truth about dieting. Most people underestimate how much weight they need to lose to truly hit their goals. If you're sitting at 200 pounds thinking, I'll look amazing after dropping 20 pounds, think again. You probably need to lose closer to 40. And when it comes to body fat percentages, add 5% to whatever you think you are, and you're much more likely to land on an accurate number. If you guess 15%, assume it's closer to 20%. It's a simple but sobering reality check for most people. Now, let's talk about hitting year 10 of consistent training. By this point, even with great genetics, you might only gain 0 to half a pound of muscle in an entire year. That's right, after a decade, you're bumping up against your genetic ceiling. If you've been training effectively, pushing yourself consistently, and staying disciplined for 10 years, you're likely at or near your limit. Sure, if your genetics are exceptional, you might still creep up by half a pound to a pound per year, but it's a slow climb. That doesn't mean everyone hits their ceiling at the same pace. If you started training as a teenager, your first 8 years don't fully count because you were still growing, and your body wasn't at its full potential yet. The same applies if you've been splitting your focus, like combining marathon training or triathlons with lifting. Transitioning to prioritized lifting will give you room to push closer to your genetic limit, even after 10 years. As you approach that limit, progress slows to a crawl. In the beginning, gains come fast and furious, but over time, it's like climbing a mountain. Each step gets harder, slower, and more incremental until eventually you reach the peak. And that's it. No massive jumps, no magic breakthroughs. Just the satisfaction of knowing you've maxed out what your body is capable of achieving naturally. That's the journey, and it's all about appreciating every step along the way. So, let's sum up what a lifetime of natural muscle growth really looks like. For guys with excellent genetics, you're looking at a total of 30 to 50 pounds of muscle over your lifetime. If you started at 150 pounds, adding 30 to 50 pounds could bring you to an impressive 180 to 200 pounds of lean muscle. That's no small feat. It's absolutely incredible progress. Hitting the upper end of that range is next-level stuff, reserved for those with truly elite genetics. If your genetics aren't as favorable, or if you're a female, the numbers are more modest, somewhere between 15 to 25 pounds of muscle. And if you see a woman claiming she's gained 30 pounds of muscle naturally in just a few years, let's be honest, she's not being straight with you. Society may make it tougher for women to admit to enhancements, but that doesn't change the reality of natural muscle limits. Here's the kicker. Women with poor genetics might only gain 7 to 15 pounds of muscle in their entire lifetime of training. That's about 10 pounds in 10 years with consistent effort. If you've gained 4 pounds in a year, that's phenomenal. It's hard-earned progress, and it's a testament to your dedication. For men, it's a bit easier due to testosterone, but make no mistake, building muscle is never easy for anyone. So, forget those flashy, over-the-top charts promising unrealistic results. This is about setting realistic expectations and working within your own potential. My chart? It's grounded, realistic, and gives you the real deal. None of the fluff. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that bell so you don't miss out, and drop a comment to let me know your thoughts. Your support means everything. It helps this content reach more people just like you.